So there are nearly 500,000 more sellers than buyers. This is an article and a chart that was released by Redfin that when you actually dive into the data and use their own actual information within the article, you can see the flaws and the fact that I call this clickbait. And I'm going to break it down because I've seen it shared in many real estate portals. I've seen it referenced in other articles. Just this weekend, the Wall Street Journal posted the data, and it couldn't be more disinformation or clickbait just based on the data that they provided and the reasoning for how they came to the data. So I'm going to break it down a little bit just because I felt like it was important to really know and understand what's going on in the market. So this is the chart, and this is the actual article that was put together. It actually states the most on record that will likely cause home prices to fall. There are 30%, 34% more sellers in the market than buyers at no point in record dating back to 2013. Condo market, all this stuff, it kind of lists everything and all the reasons behind. Wall Street Journal picked it up, and they're saying that new real estate math, 500,000 more sellers and buyers, new listings haven't been enough to jolt the housing market out of its slumber. So let's actually look at the data. MBS Highway did a great analysis of this. So what Redfin is saying is there's actually 1.944 million active listings at the end of April. Realtor.com puts that figure at 959, okay? So where are they getting that number? So total existing inventory is 1.45 million, but what it's not telling you is that many of those are actually under contract. So it took the existing inventory of 1.45, didn't account for anything as far as the homes that are under contract, and then they added total new inventory of 504,000, which even when you add that, it doesn't get to the 1.944 million. But out of those 504,000 homes that are actually under construction, only 117 of them are actually move-in ready, okay? So the numbers really don't even add up. It doesn't really account for regional differences, state differences, which I'll get into in a moment. If you actually look at it, they actually say that in the methodology in the bottom. Because there is not a similar metric measuring how many buyers are actively in the market, we developed one. Okay, so think about that. They made it up, essentially what they're saying. We took active listings and pending sales from the MLS to estimate what fraction of homes on the market will sell within a given month. We estimated what fraction of buyers on the market will find a home within a given month using Redfin data on the typical time from first tour to purchase. So that means they're taking only data of the people that visit their website and using those two data points. So think how flawed that is and how people are sharing this and assuming it is factual. This is the kind of stuff that, creates the situation we're in. It creates the education gap. It creates people waiting till they're 38 to be a first-time home buyer. Yes, affordability is an issue. Yes, all the other factors, high interest rates, all these things are an issue. But this data and the analysis of data, these people have an agenda. A lot of what we read and see today is an agenda. Now, I'm just trying to give you what is fact so you can make an educated decision whether to buy or sell. It's important to kind of note some of the differences though, okay? And that's why regions are so different. So if you can imagine, if you see in the lower right-hand side there, in Illinois, there's only 18,605 listings, okay, on the market, not under contract in Illinois. Back in 2019, that number was 51,370, okay? No way home prices can go down with that type of lack of inventory. Now, if that continues to rise, then we can have a different conversation. But Illinois is in a very different situation. When you look at Florida, you can see Florida has way more listings than they do back in 2019. That went from 143,000 all the way to 181,000. Different market, different scenario. But let's really look at the data to really understand what's going on. Over the last 5 years, Illinois was up 37.6% on average in the state of Illinois for all counties. Florida was up 51% in the last 5 years. And then if you look at what the projection is for this year is up 3.7%, and Florida is negative 3.8%, okay? Now, this is all based on where we are today. A lot of things could change. Rates could go down tomorrow, and that would change everything. But we have to know and understand the differences regionally to understand, because the article specifically stated that home prices would go down, okay? But as you can see in purple, there's really only a few states that have year-over-year price declines, and many other states are still seeing price increases. Now, We'll continue to monitor it, but this is important clarification to understand. The other thing is demographics is destiny. So we think about what's going to happen in the future. And you have baby boomers who are 42% of the buyers today. Okay, so they're cash rich, many times paying cash for property, downsizing, but also aging in place. There are going to be likely more sales, freeing up inventory in states that need it to help new buyers enter the market. You have millennials who are 29% of the current market. They're looking to build families. They're in peak buyers through the next 3 years. They're going to continue to enter the home buying market. You got Gen X, which is 24% of the market. A lot of them are buying multi-generational homes. We've seen that stat move up. So 2 units, 3 units, having their parents move into them. They're doing this to combat affordability. And then what that does is it creates additional demand. And then behind them is Gen Z. They're carrying a lot of debt and they're looking at more starter homes and they're going to continue to enter the market. So it's really, really important to know and understand that. These articles can be very dangerous, but they also can be viewed as an opportunity. The more you know and understand about the market, the better decisions you're going to make. These articles are meant to create clickbait. They're not meant to educate. That is the key piece in all of this. You have to make sure when you absorb an article, you have to look at the methods that they use to get that data. And in this one, they clearly made something up to create a narrative that they could get and sell whatever they're trying to sell, but it just is confusing to the average consumer. So as I always say, it's important to understand the why, so why home prices are going up, why home prices are going down in some states, why there's more inventory. And when you can understand those whys, it helps you make a better decision. Most people don't need help to learn how to buy a home. They need help to understand the why. So if you have any questions and you would love to meet with my team, I'll include a description and a link below, and you can reach out anytime. Thank you.